Welcome to the Crypto and Blockchain Talk.
Hello. Hey. Guten Tag. Aloha.
Hola. Shalom.
Hello.
Namaste.
Ni hao.
Privet.
Hello.
Salut. Yassas.
Salve.
Ciao.
Bonjour.
Our podcast talks about the latest trends in the worlds of cryptocurrencies and the blockchain.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Crypto and Blockchain Talk. And as we know, there's a lot going on in the crypto sphere, and I think this week, the best person to have on this show to talk about the state of the union, as it is Derek Muhney, who is the Executive Vice President of Coinsource. And Coinsource is the leading Bitcoin ATM network in the U.S. And they also have a lot of stuff going on in their own company. But first, let's welcome Derek onto Crypto and Blockchain Talk. Hello, Derek.
Hi, Aviva. Thanks for having me on.
You know what? I'm really excited, actually, to have you on more than you will ever know. By the way, everyone, my listeners know that I'm Aviva Ounap. I'm the host of Crypto and Blockchain Talk. And in the first instance, what I think I want to do is I want to congratulate you guys. You guys actually announced some kind of huge partnership with Quick Trip. So you're going to be going into like 800 retail stores all across, I think it's like the Midwest, or, I mean, you can clarify that, but so your Bitcoin ATMs are now going to be, you know, helping everyone pay for their extortionate gas. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Is that what's happening? Your Bitcoins are going into all of these chains.
Yes, we just announced our partnership with Quick Trip at all 811 current locations that they've got. And they're located, you're correct, in the Midwest. And you know what? We know from them that they're exploring the opportunities for accepting Bitcoin for the amazing products and services that they offer there. It's a really, really cool company. USA Today even did them as the number one gas station in the country. We did a tour there, and it was so fascinating. They make their own ice cubes. They have their own car wash on the campus for their employees 24/7, a mechanic 24/7, a hospital for their employees. They have their own dairy. Yeah, they have their own dairy farms, and you know, so not only is it the milk that you're getting from a Quick Trip farm, but they even blow their own glass for the milk to go into. And I mean, it's an unbelievable company. And so we were truly, truly honored that for a company of theirs in stature and reputation of just really refusing to get into the middleman game or have any kind of a third party facilitate any aspect of their business model, they hand-selected Coinsource for reasons, but we just felt extremely honored, and they really just had one operator on their list. When they knew that they wanted to get into the Bitcoin ATM partnership, they immediately knew that they were wanting to go with Coinsource. So we're extremely honored and I'm flattered for that.
That is really awesome. I mean, to work for a company that actually owns its own glass bottles and has, at the same time, not only will an employee be able to have the cleanest car there, but they can drive themselves to their own hospital in that extremely clean car. That's really cool. That's a really awesome company, and I think it's amazing that Bitcoin ATMs are becoming more and more popular. More people are obviously looking for them. They must be. Otherwise, companies like Quick Trip wouldn't, I guess, be looking to put them into their own outlets if people weren't, I guess, asking for the service. So let's talk about the Midwest first. Do you see adoption of crypto in general, not just Bitcoin, but do you see that adoption happening, and you see the reason why they've actually asked for your services installed into their outlets?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And specifically talking about the Midwest to begin with, we've seen a major uptick in demand from our existing network. So we're in 46 states right now, a few thousand Bitcoin ATMs across the country alone, and growing rapidly at that. But the demand that we've seen as far as, and volume for that matter, in our Midwest and Central United States regions has just been phenomenal. And what's really neat about that is that, you know, a few years ago, if you were to ask, well, who's buying them there, say in the Midwest or really anywhere in the country, East Coast, West Coast, Central, we'd probably have a completely different answer. We would, as a matter of fact, it'd be 18 to 34-year-old males just a few years ago. And now what we're seeing is just across the board. I mean, we've got your anticipated millennials and Gen Zers that are wanting to pivot away from traditional financial institutions for their store of value. Hey, why do I need to pay $12 a month for you to hold on to my own money? Bank XYZ. But we've seen the largest uptick as far as demographic goes in our customer base to baby boomers. We have, I would say, well over a third of our entire customer base are the baby boomer demographic. And that's a very heavy presence in the Midwest. And it's just because of that ease of entry, right? Ray Kroc said that the hardest part about building a franchise business is making sure that you have the ease of access. And so with our business model, we wanted to make it as easy as a really 1, 2, 3-step process of creating an account with Coinsource. That involves about 3 to 4 minutes of you just verifying that you are who you say you are. We don't resell or retarget, remarket any of the information. It's simply just to confirm your identity. And then from that point on, you have access to a nationwide network of cash to crypto ATMs at the lowest rates in the entire industry. And we never once have artificially inflated the price of Bitcoin. Never have, never will. And so we really pride ourselves on our transparency. And I think that's another reason why a company such as QuickTrip wanted to partner with us, because they too believe in that transparent model and that just that honest and ethical aspect.
So you just said that baby boomers who are between 55 and 75 years old or something like that. You're saying that they are becoming your biggest customer base? So how does that compare then to the millennials and Gen Zs?
So millennials and Gen Zs together probably will compromise about a third of our demographic, to whereas that baby boomer demographic and a little bit younger than that, say 50 to 70, is a little bit over a third.
Well, I totally believe that. I saw a video yesterday on something which I just couldn't believe. Basically, some woman, it's one of these romance hackers. I was watching a new series. I know it's pretty sad, but I watch all kinds of things. This woman who was around 75, she met a guy, believe it or not, through LinkedIn, who linked in with her, and he asked her to send him money. He first got her to fall in love with him. I'm going to cut that whole story out because that's not the relevant part here. The relevant part is that he taught her how to purchase Bitcoin so she could send him Bitcoin. Anyway, the end of the story is these detectives come in, they prove to this woman that she's sending money to a scammer because she, for some reason, couldn't figure that out. What I took out of that whole thing was, this woman's in her 70s and she's dealing in Bitcoin. She's buying it and selling it. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. So let's hope that she's not from the Midwest. Let's hope she's not using one of your ATMs to do whatever the heck she's doing and she's stopping. What's the transaction fee then to buy and sell Bitcoin through your ATMs?
In all but New York, we have 10% fees across the entire state. And we're the only operating exclusive Bitcoin ATM holder that's continuing to expand in the entire state of New York. So it's a pretty unique aspect there. We were the very first Bitcoin ATM operator to ever receive what's called the Bit license, which is the virtual currency license. It's hands down the New York Department of Financial Services is the foremost governing body for cryptocurrency. And so the fact that we were awarded that, we were the only non-billion-dollar valued company at the time actually that was able to achieve that and obtain that license. So really, really great there. Across the rest of the country, it's 11%. And so a lot of people want to have a knee-jerk reaction when they hear 11%. Wow. Well, if you think about it, the traditional ATM transaction average amount is $60. So if it's, say, date night and you need some cash because the restaurant you're going to be going to is valet and you want to make sure that you tip the valet drivers, you might not be able to have a chance to go to your traditional bank to withdraw cash, so you might go into a gas station, convenience store, or liquor store and use their ATM, and you're going to get dinged with a $3.50 transaction fee on the front end, and then a convenience fee from your bank for another $3.50. So now you're at around $7 for this $60 cash withdrawal that you just did, which is even more than. So it actually really is right in line with that. But one thing that we've been very, very adamant on is education and awareness. We are actively present with our blogs and our organic content that we have on Coinsource.net. And a lot of that has to deal with the fact that since Bitcoin is a deregulated currency, there's a lot of, unfortunately, well, just like that romance scam that you were talking about, we'll never run out of examples of bad people taking advantage of good things. And that is also very, very relevant and unfortunately prevalent in the cryptocurrency sphere. Given the fact that Bitcoin's deregulated, there is no proverbial, MSRP sticker price, right? So the price of your Ford F-150 in California is going to be the same price as your Ford F-150 in Florida or New York. Yeah. That's not the case with Bitcoin. So there's certain operators out there that, unfortunately, again, just have a little bit more of a not so transparent model, if we will. I don't want to get into to name calling, but borderline deceptive, if you will, to where they could say, hey, we've got really low rates. And then if you look closer, you'll see that the price of Bitcoin that they're selling at their kiosks have thousands and thousands of dollars, sometimes even tens of thousands of dollars of a price difference between the actual price of Bitcoin. So, what are you really paying for when you're buying Bitcoin from a Bitcoin ATM? So it's not just paying attention to the fees themselves. It's also about, the hidden cost of that inflated price of Bitcoin. And some operators even charge, in addition to both of those, a transaction fee as well as the inflated cost of the Bitcoin, just a flat fee, just for even using the kiosk. We don't have any hidden fees or any surprise charges like that. I mean, it's very transparent, it's very upfront. We even have a live price ticker on our kiosk screen 24/7, both on our website and on every kiosk screen. And so before you put your cash in to buy Bitcoin, you know exactly what the price is. You can compare it to anywhere else that you can find online, and you'll see that it's actually at the lowest price available, the low average index rate. So that's pretty neat. And what's also even neat about the QuickTrip partnership is that our already low industry low rate at 11% nationwide, 10% New York, is even lower for QuickTrip rewards members. So we're huge advocates of loyalty and rewards, and rewarding those who are brand loyal and brand specific, not only for Coinsource but for the QuickTrip partnership that we have. And so right now we got a promotion to where their very first transaction that they have at a QuickTrip location is half off fees. So it takes that 11% down to 5.5%, which is unheard of. And then for ongoing loyalty rewards members with QuickTrip, they have 20% off as well. So it's a pretty interesting partnership as far as driving that foot traffic, just because it's the synergy is there, right? 2020 and 2021 was such a major land grab. It was the highest growth of all Bitcoin ATM operators as far as expansion and new locations. And then in 2022, what we had predicted all along was it pivoted from quantity of locations to quality of locations. And so where else better would you feel safe and secure to, let's just be honest, bring a bunch of cash with you? We accept as little as $5 for a transaction, and we have a daily limit up to $8,500. So you could potentially be bringing $8,500, to buy Bitcoin with. Would you feel more comfortable with the, well-lit, well-known, family-owned, high-trafficked locations such as a QuickTrip or a really nice 24-hour gas station or convenience store? Or would you feel more safe with that, or would you feel comfortable going to, say, the street lights are out and there's a black cat going underneath the ladder with a broken mirror on the wrong side of town? So it's all about the total user experience, and we really, really like to focus on that. So it's not only rewarding, loyalty. It's also selecting the right partnerships in the right locations, which goes far above and beyond. Is it a good deal from a business model standpoint to put a kiosk in here? Are we getting a good price on on our, say, monthly rent that we have to pay them? That's not a sustainable model whenever you are so customer centric and you want to make sure that it is always about the customer. So we wanted to make it as welcoming and as safe and secure as possible. not only from the transaction and the software standpoint, of the security standpoint, but also just from that actual physical, that tangible experience as well.
If you have a Quick Trip loyalty card, but don't live in one of those states where they have a Quick Trip retail outlet, can you still get the Quick Trip loyalty card and then use it in one of the other states where you have a Bitcoin ATM and get that 5% fee?
Exclusive to Quick Trip locations and with our Quick Trip partnership. So if you're not in Wisconsin, Minnesota, or Iowa, where all the Quick Trip locations currently are, then you would not be eligible for that.
You see, I was trying to make a loophole right there, but I guess you covered. Yeah, go on.
However, just to reiterate again, we do have those everyday industry low rates regardless. And keep in mind that, since we are our own software developer, similar to Quick Trip, how we really don't have any kind of third-party resource or solution that we need for our entire business model. We're a single-source solution provider from start to finish. And so with that kind of autonomy, we're able to also offer rewards and promotions and loyalty redemptions to our customers as well. So the chances of our customers getting hey, here's half off fees for this day or this weekend, and us sending them that kind of a promotional code, absolutely. I mean, we're all about that, and we all definitely appreciate our customers and most certainly the loyalty that they show with Coinsource, because they know that. There's some operators out there that don't require you to provide an ID, and we have always just had a very compliance-centric business model and mindset at Coinsource, and we feel that that's actually what has netted us, that title of, the leading Bitcoin ATM company in the United States. The fact that we've got exclusive national banking should say enough about that. The fact that we were the very first ones, and still exclusively the ones with the BIT license in New York. That's a testament to the sustainability and longevity of our business model. And so customers know that, okay, they provide their ID to us, and there isn't a single Coinsource customer out there that could say that they've had their information, retargeted or remarketed. It's exclusively and proprietarily just for Coinsource and that ID verification. But at the end of the day, they get rewarded with those, promotions that we send out to them, and the everyday low rates, and the zero inflated price of Bitcoin, live customer support, in-house live customer support 7 days a week. Things that you just don't normally see in this industry.
Is it just Bitcoin that you guys deal with on your ATMs, or what other cryptos do you have?
We offer Litecoin as well, and Ethereum is right around the corner.
Excellent. Of course, we know that Ethereum's test network is going to be undergoing a merge next month ahead of the actual upgrade, which is going to be on their main network. This is a very highly anticipated upgrade. And if it all goes smoothly, of course, this merge is going to shift their blockchain from proof of work to proof of stake. All of our listeners, if you want to listen to what the difference is, we have a ton of podcasts. Just look back in our library of podcasts, and you can look at how there's a litany of past episodes where we talk about what each one of these protocols are, and we explain them in depth. But that is the biggest thing. It's going to be this major shift from proof of work to proof of stake. So basically, in a proof of work model, this is where miners race to complete these complex mathematical puzzles to validate transactions. That's the proof of work model. And this, of course, requires, quite a bit of compute power. Don't believe everything you read. I just read some stupid article, which I got to tell you right now, I'm going to debunk it right here. A quarter of America's energy is not spent on mining. I just read an article on this, Derek, and but people believe what they read, and that's something we cover all the time here. Trying to wade through and sift through all the junk that is put out there on the media, even though I'm obviously part of that. I'm trying to debunk or get the truth out there as much as possible. Proof of stake is where transactions are validated by those who are contributing, or in other words, staking in the network. So that's just, contributing is just another word of staking. That we're kind of using that word to say that you're actually a solid participant in that network. And this is also supposed to be making Ethereum more eco-friendly and efficient, but this is a huge change, and there's a lot of money at stake because Ethereum is, I would argue, one of the most popular blockchains out there. Of course, you have many other tokens which are reliant on the Ethereum blockchain. Many different systems, including DeFi, are heavily dependent on the Ethereum blockchain. And so this is a really big deal. And of course, because of this movement now, do you think you're going to see a huge swing in Ethereum transactions on your ATMs?
We do. We're definitely anticipating that. The fact that everything that you mentioned, really about the update that Ethereum is doing, plus the ever-growing demand and ecosystem of Ethereum and the other altcoins that you can get from Ethereum, was all a pretty easy decision for us to make to provide that to our customers.
Crypto right now is totally being ripped apart by the participants at the Davos conference, which is a meeting of officials who are gathered in Davos, Switzerland. And this is a meeting of all the talking heads, both in politics as well as in the economic spectrums. But we'll go over that in just a second, because I do have a question to ask you. The question is, you guys are obviously very prevalent in the United States. Why are you ignoring Europe? Europe, who is very, very crypto-friendly, crypto-centric, some areas, some countries. I can tell you right now that I personally know people who are looking to actually put networks of Bitcoin ATMs here, but haven't done it yet. So why haven't you guys been hot on the chase as it is, and to actually gain, that traction here in Europe as well as the United States?
Well, Aviva, to not give too much away, you may very well be talking to one of those companies that are actually doing that. But the best I can tell you for now is to stay tuned. We've got some very exciting news and announcements that are going to be coming shortly about Coinsource and the direction that we're going, and that obviously includes expansion and in a major way.
Well, we love a good tease, but
I had to put it in there. Yeah.
You can't give us any more than that, huh?
All I can say is that it will be worth your while to stay tuned.
But we'll now head over to Davos in Switzerland. The conference is going on. It's the World Economic Forum WEF 2022 meeting. And of course, hot on the heels of the collapse of the stablecoin Terra USD. And if need a recap on that, please listen to the last podcast. Even though we'll probably end up having a recap here, we're going to test Derek in a minute and see if he knows what's happening out there. But we all know that Terra USD, which was the stablecoin of Terra Network, sparked a huge, I don't want to say they sparked a huge crash. I think somebody spiked it, but it's one of the indicators for a cryptocurrency crash that obviously happened this month, which led to about $1 trillion being wiped out. Now, Bitcoin is considerably down, and depending on who you read and what time of day, it is probably the most, I don't know, Derek, how do I explain how everyone's opinion is so vastly different depending on the article? And I think what I'm going to do here is a disclaimer. We are not giving anyone financial advice. Matter of fact, you need to do your own homework, your own due diligence. And if you still need help after doing a ton of research, you need your own financial professional advisor. And hopefully they will know enough about crypto to steer you in the right direction. And one last piece of advice, never invest more than you can afford to lose. So we know that there's a lot of opinions out there. You have some articles saying that Bitcoin is going to go down to 8. You have some articles that says Bitcoin is going to go up to 100. I mean, it's just nuts, really. Just this crazy suppositions of where crypto is going to be going. But one thing I can say is that they are on a huge downer at Davos and at the WEF. You have people like the IMF, which is short for the International Monetary Fund. Their manager, she was comparing crypto to pyramid schemes. And she said, and I'm going to paraphrase here, she said that crypto is a pyramid scheme in the digital age. And she added, Bitcoin may be called a coin, but it's not money. A prerequisite for something to be called money is to be a stable store of value. So, Derek, over to you. What do you have to say, the IMF managing director? What would you say back to her if she said to you, Bitcoin is a pyramid scheme in the digital age?
Well, there's always going to be the naysayers, if you will, and people who are pro and people who are against technology and innovation. And in regard to that specifically, I think that you'll have the defense side of that argument saying, well, what really is backing fiat right now? I mean, I could hold up a $1 bill, hold up a $100 bill. It's the same piece of paper, weighs the same, looks the same. One is more than the other because the government told me that it is. However, with what we're dealing with right now across the globe with, record-setting inflation, what does it even mean for something to be backed, to her point, to where Bitcoin isn't? At least with Bitcoin, you have a finite amount of Bitcoin, so very similar to tangible, actual gold. And of course, everyone's going to say the growth and the price and the value of Bitcoin has always increased, such as the traditional stock. Well, if actual gold were to say drop in value right now, would people start questioning the validity of gold, or would they probably decide they wanted to, now's the time to invest because there's only a limited supply of it? It's also about how it's being used. So the argument of, no one will ever, mining is too expensive and no one's ever going to buy a cup of coffee coin. Well, I could say the same thing about, again, actual gold. I mean, when's the last time you saw somebody whip out a gold brick to buy a cup of coffee? It's just.
You mean you don't?
You know what? Only on Saturday.
All right, gotcha. I'm every day of the week except Saturday, so I.
Wow, that works out. but no, really think about it. It's primarily we see it used as a store of value. Now there is a third of the population unbanked or underbanked, and they use it for everyday use, and they're exceptionally savvy individuals who are patronizing businesses and companies and service providers that accept Bitcoin. But primarily what we've seen in our surveys and customer outreach has been for a store of value, for an investment. So again, there will always be naysayers and there will always be people that, to mention one person that you may or may not have heard of, Jamie Dimon, CEO JP Morgan Chase, when not to throw him under the bus too much, but when he was very first asked about Bitcoin, he actually had the same sentiment about it. You've seen lately the articles about how not only how JP Morgan Chase feels about Bitcoin, but the fact that Jamie Dimon's daughter is a huge holder for Bitcoin. I think that's a testament to maybe people are commenting on things that they may not be 100% educated on. We'll put it that way.
Okay, well, let me just tell you something. First of all, I don't know if you knew this, but this pod is going on to over 5 years old. And I have not only thrown Jamie Dimon under the bus, I've backed up over him and then rolled over him again a couple times. Because I remember when he first came out with the statement that, Bitcoin is a bunch of slosh, and he was pushing it. And so therefore, obviously, we were responding to everything that he was saying. And not just that, but blockchain. He didn't understand the concept of blockchain. Then we talked about, of course, one of those, you have blockchain or, one of the subcategories, which is, of course, crypto. And so therefore, and then, of course, when he did actually say what JP Morgan was doing, I think 3 podcasts covering, basically the shameful hypocrisy of all of this. You see, Davos is very interesting to me in the aspect that you have a lot of people who are very high up, such as the governor of the Bank of France, who also said that he doesn't even refer to crypto assets as cryptocurrencies. And what he said, and this is again, I'm doing a direct quote, these are not reliable currencies. They are not a reliable means of mint, he said. He said in order for a currency, or in order for something to be a currency, somebody must be responsible for the value. Nobody is responsible for the value of cryptocurrencies. And it be accepted universally as a means of exchange, and it's not. So, Derek, would you like to respond to the governor of the Bank of France and give an explanation of, how what he said is not absolutely true at all, especially when it comes to nobody being responsible for the value, because I'll let you explain that, and B, how it's not accepted universally. Go for it.
Well, yeah, it's pretty amazing that was his stance on it, just given the fact that not only is it more secure than traditional fiat, but it is the only globally accepted currency out there. So a little confusing on how you could have that stance. And Bitcoin as a technology is exceptionally safe just because of the technology that it's built on. The blockchain. It's also cryptographic. It's public. It's decentralized. And it's permissionless. Aside from market volatility, which I don't know of any kind of currency that isn't susceptible to that, I'd say obviously the top reasons why Bitcoin is as safe as it is because, again, it uses secure cryptography backed by the blockchain. I love the fact that, and I think everyone else does, that Bitcoin is public. It's a public ledger, transparent, and is fully transparent. All transactions are available to the public. Even if the people involved are anonymous, the fact that it is as public as it is and how it was designed that way makes it exceptionally difficult for it to be cheated or, and of course the decentralized aspect of it. Bitcoin's distributed network has, over 10,000 nodes all over the world that keep track of every transaction that's happening in the system. With that large number of nodes, it ensures that if something to one of the servers or nodes, others can pick up the slack. And another thing that I think is most certainly notable is that Bitcoin doesn't require permissions. So with no regulatory body, Bitcoin is open for everyone, and its lack of permissions, which keep Bitcoin open, is and fair to everyone, is really what's key. So the fact that it's not available to that statement that he said that it's not available to everyone, I completely disagree.
Yeah, listen, don't go to the governor of the Bank of France and ask for a Bitcoin license, Bitcoin ATM license. I think you're not going to very far. And the last, okay, so look, I'll pick on one more person, which is Thailand. I'll pick on the governor who said, and I want you to just listen to this though, right? So Thailand's central bank is developing their own central bank digital currency for the public. But his quote is, "It's fine if you want to invest in crypto, but we don't want to see it as a method of payment because it's not appropriate." So can you get your head around that one?
No, I can't.
Why not, Derek? Why not?
Well, I think my head is still spinning from that statement, actually.
I think you got to do some mansplaining there because I don't think... I understand. So basically what he's saying is, I don't even know what the hell he's saying, but they did ban earlier in 2022 the use of crypto as a method of payment, saying that it was a threat to the Thai economy. But yet they are developing a CBDC, which of course, that CBDC, I can guarantee you 10 to 1, is one day probably going to be listed pegged against something like BUSD, USDC. We're going to see this one. It's going to be another Jamie Dimon all over. So, it's kind of interesting to see where people's minds are at this moment. So I don't know where to go with that one, quite frankly.
I think part of the allure of cryptocurrency is the autonomy of utility and usage for the individual that decides they want to buy and invest in cryptocurrency. What we specialize in with Coinsource obviously has nothing to do with anything speculative. We are the foremost experts on converting fiat, cash to crypto. And from that point on, what those individuals decide to do with that cryptocurrency they bought from Coinsource really is up to them. And that's also kind of the beauty behind it, is that if someone wants to use it as a store of value, great. If someone wants to use it because their next door neighbor is selling a boat and they really want to buy Bitcoin, but they don't know how, so they'll sell the boat for some Bitcoin. Well, hey, you know what? There's a transaction for you. There's a payment. Everything in between. It could be, again, I use that gold brick analogy, tangible gold brick for buying a cup of coffee. Do I? And I appreciate your disclosures to your audience as far as giving us not providing financial advice. But do I personally see at least Bitcoin for that matter, being used as a payment especially for small transactions? No, I don't. But again, I try and stay away from anything speculative.
It's actually interesting you say that because it does require a lot of education, which we're still at this I can't believe I'm saying this, 10 years on, if not 11 years on, where education in this space, it's still very, very new. All of this, even with the upswing that you're seeing, no doubt, hence leading to the reason, obviously you're a business. You're not going to undertake a business decision because you don't have the proof, the market, the seeing that gap in the market and needing to fulfill that gap in the market. But there's a lot of education, which is still very much needed. And actually, this is the last part I wanted to cover about what's happening at the WEF. Because Ethereum's co-founder, Gavin Wood, of course, Gavin Wood being the other, well, I don't want to say the other half because there's even more people probably than Gavin Wood and Vitalik Buterin, but Gavin Wood said that crypto investors have to pay more attention to what is backing their holdings after, of course, everything that's happened in the cryptosphere. And a direct quote from him is that he said, I would hope that people pay more attention to what is belying the currency name when they get involved in a community, ecosystem, and economy. The fact that we're still talking, especially someone like myself, we're still trying to get people to understand what is behind their crypto investments or behind their first footings into DeFi or even NFTs or whatever. But can you ever really know what's going to happen? Because even with, let's say, the stock market, it's very hard to be able to understand all of the nuances and all of the influences and market factors that can really influence your decision to investing or partaking into an investment within the crypto space, let's say. So what do you think when people first see one of your Bitcoin ATMs, so they see it and they're going, what is this thing? What do you think you are doing as you only get one chance to make a first impression kind of thing? So what is it that you're doing that makes people think, I want to press these buttons and explore this a little more? How are you from a user experience, as you were talking about before? If someone doesn't even know what the hell it's just a box with some numbers and they don't know anything about crypto. How are you getting somebody interested enough, if they've never done anything like this before, to even come over and look at the machine and actually start thinking, okay, yeah, I'm going to try this out? Or are you kind of relying on the fact they've done already a shed load of homework and they're like, I got to go now look for a Bitcoin ATM, or is Quick Trip do they have posters with big arrows on the floor and on the ceilings, pointing down going, the latest in currency is here? So how are you breaking down that wall as just a metal box with some push buttons on it? How are you getting people excited enough to come over and actually explore what it's about?
I think that's a great question. Yeah, with Quick Trip, it all starts with education and awareness, but also specifically with them, yeah, they've got, as you could imagine, after I told you how they every single aspect of their entire business model, they've got their own in-store radio and screens, and so we've obviously got promotional video fronts for them. But when it comes to the type of customer, Aviva, it really is broken down into two categories: purpose-driven and opportunistic. And so with Bitcoin ATMs, historically, it is a purpose-driven customer that's coming to transact at a Bitcoin ATM. It's a destination location. They're not driving down the road looking for a neon sign or a balloon above a location that says Bitcoin ATMs. They've done their due diligence. They've done their research online. They've looked at websites such as coinatmradar.com, which is kind of the Google Maps, if you will, or the central repository of all Bitcoin ATMs with maps and directions. But our website as well has a live interactive map, and we'll geotag wherever you're at and lead you to the closest one. So that's the purpose-driven customer, right? They knew before they left their house what they were leaving their house for, and that they were going to be using one of our Bitcoin ATMs. Now, the other customer is that opportunistic customer, which with partnerships such as Quick Trip, to where it's they've got loyal. They're loyal rewards members. I mean, it's in the millions. They're used to and they're familiar with going into a Quick Trip for other reasons. It could be a bag of chips or lotto tickets, a bottle of water, what have you. And that's a real opportunity to bridge that gap between those from the purpose-driven customers to the opportunistic, where it is kind of an education. Do we feel comfortable that more people now more than ever have at least heard of Bitcoin and are interested in it? Yes. So then that's our opportunity to, with a big 21-inch touchscreen monitor, we've got different screens that flash on, how to get started, on brief little rundown on, what the kiosk, to your point, is, and as well as Bitcoin. And we make it as easy as possible. However, what's driving people to those kiosks is, I think it comes down to trust. You've got generations and generations of people, key in that baby boomer demographic I was touching on earlier, that have been conditioned on how to use a traditional ATM. And because if you think about it, when those first came out, what a fascinating technology. You put this plastic card in, you punch a couple buttons, and all of a sudden cash is, just shooting out of the machine. That's pretty awesome. So kind of reverse engineering that, you have inserting cash into a machine. However, the conditioning of the process is the same. It's the same kind of a three-step process, if you will, right? Except instead of receiving cash, you're with inserting cash, and then you get the receipt at the end of it. So it turns something digital, it turns something that you can't see, smell, touch, or fold, cryptocurrencies, right? But it makes it real, and that establishes trust and that establishes credibility with our customer base, in droves, by the way. And so tie in the fact that we're also wallet agnostic, to where we sell directly to our customers from our hot wallet to their wallet. So the transactions are almost instantaneous. And that every online exchange has either had a major data breach at this point or has been hacked. It's a lot harder to, especially for those opportunistic customers that are brand new, first-time transactors. It's a lot harder to convince them, that barrier to entry quote that I mentioned from Ray Kroc. It's a lot harder to tell them and to convince somebody to say, hey, enter your social security number on this foreign overseas website and exchange. Enter your bank number and your routing number, and trust me, it's okay and it's safe, but buy this currency that you'll never ever be able to see, and take my word for it, it's a good idea. Versus, we make it as easy and as tangible as possible, and we're there. Our live customer support is there, 7 days a week if there are any questions and issues. So we like to consider it to be a full white glove service that we provide, and I think that is really what helps bring in those first-time transactors and those first-time customers.
Do you know why people are going to your ATM? Is it because they're buying as an investment, or is it because they want to use it to actually do transactions? Would you happen to know that? We see our customers purchasing Bitcoin from our kiosks for a number of reasons. So again, store of value. They could be part of that percentage base that is unbanked, underbanked, and they use it for everyday needs and services. Some transactions we see, go onto an exchange and they, invest in other cryptocurrencies with it, et cetera. So it's really across the board on the usage, which is what makes it attractive, is that it's a wide array of utility. Absolutely. Well, that wide array of utility, it sounds like, is going to get bigger, I guess, as you keep expanding. So, Derek, I have to tell you, we're going to be watching this space and seeing what you guys actually do in it. So maybe one day you'll come back on and tell us what your latest forays are and how you have now world domination. How does that sound? It sounds great to me, Aviva. Excellent. Well, I'd like to thank you so much for coming on, and it's been an absolutely fantastic podcast. Thanks again for giving us your time. Likewise. Thank you for having me. Well, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in to this week's edition of Crypto and Blockchain Talk. As you know, this podcast is streamed on over 70 different podcasting platforms, as well as on many, many different radio stations, including our sister radio station, Crypto24radio.com. Crypto24radio.com is the hottest and widest listened to crypto radio station in the world, and we play 24/7 around the world for your listening pleasure. We love to hear from you, and of course we do have our normal social media accounts on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, but we'd love to hear from you directly. So please email us at education@savvydigital. That's education@savvy, SAVII digital.com. Again, we know how busy life is. We know exactly what you do every day is very, very stressful, and we hope that when you tune into us, we bring you just a little bit of light relief and entertainment as well as education in the crypto space. So please be safe, take care, and goodbye for now.